Hello everyone, and welcome to Final IT. In today's video we're going to be looking at setting up a MediaWiki instance on our CentOS 7 LAMP server. This is useful for offering a collaborative location to store data and share it with others. Some good videos to watch before this one would be our video on setting up LAMP, our video on opening ports in CentOS 7, and our video on connecting via WinSCP. All of those can be found in the description. First thing we're going to want to do is download the MediaWiki files. They're going to be available from the MediaWiki website, which a link will be available in the description. So we'll go ahead and download those files. And then we're going to want to open up our WinSCP connection to our Linux server. And you can consult our other video on how to connect to your Linux machine via WinSCP. So from here we're going to navigate to SRV, and on our host computer we're going to go to our downloads folder and copy our file over. So now we've got our MediaWiki file, which is a .tar.gz file, in the SRV folder. Alright. Now we'll swap to our terminal session, which we can use PuTTY to connect to our Linux machine. And here we're going to want to, first let's clear out anything from our old session, and we're going to want to navigate to that directory. Now these commands will all be available in the description. So first we're going to navigate to that SRV directory with cd/srv, and then we're going to use a tar command to unpackage the download file. Now the command that we'll have there in the description, you'll want to copy that in and then hit tab to have it finish. What that'll do is it'll fill in the file name for you so that no matter what version you download, it should work. So you'll hit tab there and then hit enter, and it's going to go ahead and unpack the files. That's what it's doing here. Then when it's done, we're going to swap back to our machine that we're running WinSCP on. So that could be your host machine, whichever, and we're just going to want to refresh the folder on the Linux server, and we'll see the unpacked MediaWiki files there. So this, we're going to want to go into the MediaWiki file, hit Control-A to select everything, right-click and go to Properties to get into the security options. We're going to want to change all these security boxes in this 3x3 grid to a full checkbox, and have root be the group and the owner. There, so we should end up, after checking all those boxes, we should end up with 0777. Root in these two, and another thing we're going to want to do is set those permissions recursively. So that will open up the permissions on all those files so that Apache won't have a hard time getting into them. So we'll let that run. Alright, now we're going to want to select all these files again with Control-A, right click on them, and now we're going to move to. We're going to end up moving these to let's see, we're going to want them to go into /var/www/html/, and it's going to move all these files and directories into that path, which is where we'll want them. Alright, so now we've got our files in the right location. The next thing we need to do is prep our server up. So let's go back to our terminal session over here. And we are going to open up a MySQL session. So we'll copy this next command in there. These are available in the description. This one is sudo mysql --p, and then I'll let you enter a password for your database. So if you set that up earlier in our previous video, then you can use your password there to get into the database. And once you're in, you'll see MariaDB here in the front. We'll want to enter a MySQL command next, so that's going to be available down there. This is create database, my_wiki, semicolon. It should say query OK, one row affected when it's created that database. Alright, then we'll hit Control-C to exit out of MariaDB. Alright, next thing we're going to want to do is upgrade our PHP version to be compatible. So this next command is going to install a couple of repositories and some install utilities. It's a pretty long one there. And then after that, we're going to enable a specific PHP 72 repository which is our newer version of PHP 7.2. And then once we've enabled all that, we just need to perform an update to actually get the newer version of PHP. Alright, now that we've updated that, we will just want to copy in the next command to install a few PHP modules that we're going to need for the MediaWiki. So it'll do that. Once it's complete, we're also going to want to restart HTTPD service so that Apache has the new specs. You're going to want to make sure that you've opened port 80 on your router. If you haven't, we have in this case. We're able to get to it via web browser externally. But if you haven't yet, you're going to want to open port 80, which you can follow our video on that to do so. One last important step that we have is to disable SE Linux, which will get in the way of Wiki or Apache reading some of the wiki files. To do this, we're going to go back to our WinSCP machine over here. We are going to go to, let's see, up to the root directory. We'll go to etc, and then scroll down a little bit. We'll have SE Linux in here. Got it? And we'll open up this config file here. And over here it's going to be, it says SE Linux equals enforcing. What we're going to want to do is set this to disabled. Alright, now that that's disabled, we'll want to do we'll save that and close it. We'll go back to our system. We'll do a sudo reboot, which will also be available in the description. It's going to reboot that Linux machine so that SE Linux is disabled. And when it comes back up, we will actually be able to access it via the HTML page here. Give that a refresh once it's restarted, and we'll see that we've now added a MediaWiki setups page. It's stating the local settings.php file was not found, so we're going to have to go through this setup first. So we'll click into that. First, we're going to get prompted for our language, which we can continue with here. Right now, it's just making sure, checking to make sure that you have prerequisites installed. It's explaining the things that it's detected about your server. We can go ahead and continue through this. Now here, it's going to be asking about MySQL database information. So for our database host, it's on the same machine in our build, so we're using localhost here. For the database name, we did create the database with the correct name that's set up by default, the my_wiki here. Then the last thing we need to do is enter our database password, which we'll have set up in the previous video when we set up the LAMP server. So we'll enter those things. I continue. Here you can select the storage engine if you have a preference. We'll use the recommended option here. And here we can give a name to our wiki if we'd like to. So this will be the final IT wiki. I'm not going to go live or anything like that, but that's what we're naming it here. And then we can make our first user account. It'll be the admin account as well. So go ahead and enter in our generic final IT detail here, final IT, finalit.com, or .net actually. Alright, now we can select here, or we can leave it in the default to ask more questions if we want to continue on with some more setups. So we'll do so in this case. The next option is actually pretty helpful here. You can decide how you want it to be set up for security. Now, as far as user rights, you can make it just a regular open wiki, which is kind of like Wikipedia, where anybody can go view any page. You don't necessarily have to log in to view pages. After that, you can make other kinds of wikis where account creation is required, so you'll have to be logged in to view pages. And in order to edit things, you'll be, maybe you have set it up to be to where only specific authorized users are able to edit your wiki. And then at the end, you've got the private wiki, which only allows approved users to view pages and edit. But basically, there's no registration options or anything like that. It's fully private. You'll also be able to select a copyright license if you'd like, and set up email settings for it to give notifications to if you'd like. There's special pages that you can enable if you'd choose to. It's safe to leave these as default for now. And then file uploads, you may want to make it possible to upload other types of files than just images, which is the default. Once you're happy with those settings, we'll hit continue there. We'll hit it again to finish the install. So it's going to go through and finish creating all of our options into the MediaWiki server, and hit continue one last time for it to give you a local settings file now. Now that you've got your local settings file, you'll just want to copy that into the wiki directory. So that's going to be under var www html. Should be able to just drag and drop that into there. It's going to ask if you're ready to upload that file, which we are. And we'll see that we've now got a local settings.php file in here. So now that we've completed that, we can click this button to enter our wiki, or really just take off everything and go back to the default. And we're now at the main page of your default wiki. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think.